Hello everyone, I'm Lee, I'm an intuitive, and every month I take the pulse on what might be showing up for us energetically, psychologically, and emotionally. The energy update for January contains 8 themes, and 3 of them are a year of energetic reorganization on global and personal levels. We're going to look at that theme. We're also going to look at this being a year of the voice and speaking your truth. And lastly, a big spotlight in January will be the end of self-abandonment. Stay tuned for all the themes and a deeper look at what this means for you. Hello everyone, welcome to the energy update for January 2026. We're already in 2026. It happened, 2025 flew by. And for those of you who regularly watch my videos but haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe here on YouTube. It makes a huge difference to what we do, and I deliberately keep this energy update ad-free. So that's a way that you can support us with what we do here. Theme number 1 for January is going to be a theme that really covers the whole year, but I wanted to touch on it. And for those of you who are interested in an annual energy forecast from me, where I look at the whole year, it lasts a little over an hour. You can watch that for free if you use the link below this video. If you just go to the link, sign up, you will get the full hour teaching and transmission from me for free. But this theme of a year of energetic reorganization on global and personal levels, that's what 2026 is going to be when we zoom out and look at it as a bird's eye view. So it's going to mean that you are going to go through your own process of reorganization this year. Now, for some of you, it might be that over the last year or 2 or 3, you've gone through a lot of purging, a lot of clearing, a lot of transformation. 2026 is going to be a year that you are going to be able to make a lot of your wishes, desires, and also the things that you want to bring into reality happen. It will be a very supported year in terms of personal creation. So things that you've been working on for a while, and especially things that you have been preparing yourself for. Energetic reorganization allows us to freshen up the energy of our room, our house, our life, and it really allows us to build something new. When we reorganize, we not only tidy things up, we also find things that are no longer relevant to us, things that are in the back of the cupboard, things that you're never going to use, things that you go, oh, I could give this to a friend, or I could let go of this now and create space for the new. So 2026 as a year is going to be this year of energetic reorganization. And those of you who've already been doing that, for you it will really allow you to actualize reorganization in your life, to literally see the things that you want to build and create start to happen in tangible reality. In tandem with that, there will be some of you who, for various reasons, perhaps haven't been able to get to that point yet. This will be the year you do it. It will be the time and the energy and the will inside you to recognize that you want to start making changes. So this year of energetic reorganization happens on global and on personal levels. So you can expect to continue to see the flux that we've been seeing in the last few years of different agendas playing out on the planet, trying to hold on to things, trying to grapple with things. I'll come to those agendas in a few themes' time because there is a message that's quite strong about that. But this year of energetic reorganization needn't be anything that we fear. In fact, it can be what we embrace. If you think about our lives, as long as we are alive on the planet in this body, we have the opportunity to create and recreate our lives as we go. So if the idea of energetic reorganization scares you, you might want to look at what you're afraid to let go of, or what you think you can't let go of. Because without some letting go, we can't bring in the new. If it excites you, there are a few themes coming up that you will particularly like. So that's theme number 1. Theme number 2, and this is very specific to January. Honor your tenderness in January. Honor your tenderness in January. And here are the words I've given you for this theme. As a recovery from 2025 and all we moved through, tenderness will return to strength. But tenderness and vulnerability may rise as a reaction to all that went before. Self-care, support, and inward moments of quiet or reflection will give you this space to breathe. So, as I was channeling these words earlier, tenderness will return to strength. I think for many of us, and this is true for me too, when you're in something and it feels very visceral in your system, either you're feeling upset about something or down about something or agitated by something that's got your attention, there can be a tendency for all of us to think, oh, this is now how life is forever. For us to get very immersed in whatever it is that we're moving through. And I always find it very helpful to remind myself, not only will this pass, this too shall pass, but this will also transform. Whatever I'm in right now is designed to transform me. And our tenderness and our vulnerability, which I think many of us were discouraged from feeling or experiencing in ourselves when we were younger, it's an incredible act of power to allow yourself to feel and acknowledge your tenderness and your vulnerability. Because when you do that, you don't block your system. You don't try and control your feelings. You don't try and control your system. You allow your system to do what it needs to do. And when we've been through a lot, and when a lot has happened to us, and we get ourselves to a place where we either just have to feel our vulnerability, or we're suddenly in a circumstance or a moment in time where we can breathe, and we can go, wow, that was a lot. I just went through a lot, and I'm just going to take a private moment to acknowledge that and feel that, and let my system, my nervous system, my feelings, let them be seen and honored in all of that. It's okay to have moments of tenderness and vulnerability. And the way that we create a safe space for those is self-care. So this might look like doing things that soothe you. For me, water is always a great reset, whether it's a shower or a bath or being outside in water. You'll have your own methods. I use music, I use meditative breathing. There's so many different things that any of us can find that help support us. And we're all very different. So we all need different acts of self-care. So I wrote here, self-care, support, and inward moments of quiet or reflection will give you this space to breathe. So support relates to having good people around you when you are vulnerable. When you are vulnerable, do not go and see your angry, judgmental mother-in-law. Go and see your loving, angelic friend, or don't see anyone if you can't think of anyone who's going to be supportive to you. This other piece of inward moments of quiet or reflection will give you this space to breathe. If you're a very busy person, perhaps you're a caretaker for dependents in your life, whether it's children or a family member that you're having to look after round the clock, really important to try and give yourself 5-10 minutes a few times a day where you can just sit and either breathe, or perhaps for you, if you're particularly busy, having prompts for yourself, having a journal, having a piece of paper and a pen, writing down, what am I grateful for right now? What am I struggling with right now? It doesn't always have to be the positive. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves these questions, or have a dear friend or loved one ask these questions of us for us to surface how we feel. I think that's common for many of us. Sometimes if we haven't been tracking how we're doing or checking in with how we're doing, sometimes it's the act of questioning that will lead to the answer. So if you are someone who's very busy, but you feel a need for this quiet, reflective moment that I'm talking about, ask yourself a few questions. What am I grateful for in 2025? What am I recovering from in 2025? What am I looking forward to in 2026? A few questions, prompts, that will allow you to get a little more in touch with your inner world, particularly if you have had to abandon your inner world or your awareness of your inner world in order to stay on the hamster wheel or the service. We'll get to that a little later in the EU with the End of Self-Abandonment. Okay, theme number 3. And this is an annual theme that's going to start showing up immediately in January, if it hasn't already been showing up for you. 2026 is a year of the voice and speaking your truth. A year of the voice and speaking your truth. This will be a theme all year, and January begins this energy strongly. So be patient with yourself as you learn how to speak your truth with compassion and balance when love is required. And equally, don't restrict yourself when you are speaking up to create a necessary boundary in your life. Speaking the truth comes naturally after practice, but practice is required. So be kind to yourself as you learn this new way. Words have the power to change your reality, relationships, and your life. This is why we're scared of speaking our truth, by the way, because we know how powerful our words are. And perhaps if you've been on the receiving end of abusive or judgmental or belittling words, you may have shut your mouth because you feel so wounded by words that you're now incredibly careful around your words. For any of you who have been in that scenario or situation where you've been around people who've used words as weapons against you, or you've got your own self-judgment up here. I know I had so much of it in my 20s, and I have my own moments every now and then in my 30s and 40s, but when you have a very strong self-judge up here, it can be a reaction to the people who have judged you. And you create this level of self-judgment in your own head so that you no longer are emboldened to do the thing you want to do or act the way you want to act, because when you did that in the past, you were judged, punished, belittled, stopped. So there are so many reasons that learning to speak our truth takes us time. It really takes us time. And I remember very clearly in my early 20s when I was starting to practice speaking my truth, I was so nervous. And I would, do it very inartfully at the beginning. I perhaps would be a bit tense. So it is a practice, speaking your truth. And the more you do it, the more you get used to doing it. And it's a great way of weeding out people in your life. If you speak your truth to someone and they have a bad reaction and you go, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Or actually, yes, let me say it in a more loving way. And they go, oh, okay, good. Thanks for apologizing. I understand now. That's good. That's the kind of friend or person you want in your life. But if they double down on condemning you and they tell you off for what you said and they won't hear your apology, that's very interesting information about who that person is. And that person probably isn't going to be very resonant with you going forward, because if they're not willing to have a heart-to-heart back and forth and to give you some grace, just as you're giving them the grace of the apology. So there is going to be a lot of shifting in relationships as we continue to go through the coming years, not necessarily losing relationships or leaving relationships, but transforming relationships from the inside. What I have noticed in my life is I've been so inspired by people in my life who have spoken truth to me in a way that surprised me. And it inspired me to do the same. And equally, I've had other people say to me, oh, I'm really glad you were honest about that, because now I'm realizing I could be honest about something to my friend. So speaking your truth is not about being right. It's not about being right. There is no such thing as right. There is personal righteousness. Speaking your truth is about being clear about what's true for you without trying to make the other person wrong, but it creates a boundary and it's a way of shaping your life. So it might be that there are one or two people in your life you are less comfortable speaking your truth with. That will be because time has shown you this person is not available for an easy conversation. This person is not perhaps used to speaking so honestly, having such open emotional truth. And I do think for all of us, the rule is, can you speak from the heart? And there are times that we will do that really successfully, and there are times that we might be a bit triggered, or we might not yet be very mature in speaking our truth. We might be a little tense, so it might come out a little abrupt. But the great thing is, if we are willing to start speaking our truth and do it to the best of our ability, and you're checking how your truth lands for other people as well. You're not just whacking people over the head with what you want to say. It's not an egotistical or a narcissistic thing. It's actually you trying to have a more fluent relationship with this person, or your honesty to them will reveal that they don't want that level of relationship with you. They liked it how it was. They don't want this new level of truth. And that will be good information too. So be patient with yourself as you learn how to speak your truth with compassion and balance when love is required. But equally, don't restrict yourself when you are speaking up to create a necessary boundary in your life. Words are powerful, and you have the power to create a new relationship with the truth of the words that you decide to use. Silence is very powerful too, by the way. But in this case, because this is a year of the voice, speaking your truth should go to a new level for most of us. Even those of you who are already good at it, it will come even more effortlessly and fluently. And what it will do is it will rearrange your life beautifully. It will bring some people closer than ever to you. And it might make some people go, oh, don't like quite how honest she is. I'm going to step away, which creates space for someone to come into your life who can match your honesty. And that will be a relief for you. Theme number 4, dramatic beginnings. Dramatic beginnings. So January will come with some dramatic shocks and shifts which may take you by surprise and signal the energetic strength of this year of reorganization ahead of us. Remember, all things change with time. And sometimes the changes that initially seem difficult lead to brighter roads later on. So yeah, sometimes things happen in our life and we're like, oh God, I didn't want this to happen. I wish this hadn't happened. And then 6 months later you go, oh, if that hadn't happened to me, I would never have done X, Y, or Z and been led to my next person, job, thing. So my sense of this dramatic beginnings theme is it's going to be global and it's going to show up more in the outside world than in the personal world. But there's always a chance, themes are always interchangeable. So it might be that you have some dramatic shocks or shifts in your personal life that will take you by surprise, might be very impactful at first. But stay the course, trust that as you go through the days and weeks, there will be a shift around how you see it. So it will be interesting to see what those dramatic shocks or shifts are in January. And I'm sure globally we will look at them together. And if they're showing up for you personally, try and keep that in mind about what might be shifting for you ultimately for the better, even if it doesn't look that way when it first happens. Theme number 5, and I think this links to dramatic shock, actually. I think this links to the prior theme. So manipulation energy in power systems and leadership. Manipulation energy in power systems and leadership. So on the one hand, we've already been seeing this play out over recent years. But the fact that it's coming up for January is interesting. So power systems and leadership taking advantage of people's tiredness or unpreparedness as a way to manipulate things or tighten people's lives. Now, this is not new to us, but this will become clearer to more and more people as we go through the year. And we are entering a 2 to 3 year span of global reckoning around power abuse and the neglect of people's well-being for the sake of personal power. This energy may also show up in any imbalanced relationships in your personal life. But let's look at it globally for a second. So unfortunately, it seems to take these things happening for more people to see them. So manipulation energy in power systems and leadership, taking advantage of people's tiredness or unpreparedness as a way to manipulate things or tighten people's lives. And where I think this goes back to the January shock is the impact is felt immediately in the short term. But then as things move on, more gets revealed about the manipulation because we're at a time in consciousness where the old order cannot achieve its aims, even though it's pushing hard and trying hard and will continue to for the next 2 or 3 years. But more and more people are beginning to question it and see it very clearly. So this is going to be an interesting month for some of this to rise to the surface. But it may be that this same manipulation energy shows up in some of your imbalanced relationships in your life. Are you yourself trying to manipulate someone or something because you don't trust? Your ego or your thoughts or your mind has decided you need this or you want this, and so you're working very hard to get it. When you feel yourself doing that, ask yourself, is my heart involved? Because we know the difference. We know the difference when we feel heart open. And when there's no heart involved, it's more like, it's more of a mind, more of a push, more of a, Where is the drive coming from? Is it coming from your root chakra and fear and survival, and so you're trying to make something happen against the will of others? Or maybe for many of you, it's going to be that you're going to see manipulation energy even more clearly in the people around you. And the thing I've always felt about manipulation energy when I see it, or if I feel it coming toward me, is we don't have to get upset at the people who are trying it. Any person in your life who is trying to manipulate you, you actually, on a deeper level, you have to feel for them. Because if that's how they think they're going to get their needs met, and that's all they know, or that's what they were trained into, that's actually quite sad. Because they aren't living a life that is in possession of heart or love. They're desperately trying to grasp onto things. So you can have compassion for them, even as you say no, or you have a boundary. And it might not be your job to be their therapist. Some of them might welcome your feedback about what you see that they're doing. And in other cases, it might be safer for you and your well-being to just back away and not say anything. Let them figure that out themselves if they don't seem amenable to your detailed feedback. So look out for manipulation energy in January, and I think it will mostly be the global scale, but some of you will experience it personally as well. Theme number 6, the end of self-abandonment. The end of self-abandonment. As I say this, I feel a whole bunch of, yeah, I think, self-abandonment can be a common theme for many who are empathic, sensitive, awake. It's often a survival mechanism that we develop when we were young. Sometimes abandoning yourself in order to serve others was the way that you survived a difficult childhood, or just your reaction to how weird the world was because you were very sensitive and maybe you hadn't yet worked that out. So you got into these relationship patterns and dynamics with people where you were a people pleaser in order to be safe or in order to try and uplift others. Well, good news. The end of self-abandonment heralds the end of that, or the beginning of the end for some of you, because it takes quite a few years for most of us to reprogram ourselves around that. So, allowing the magical back into your personal life will happen through connecting to yourself, your life, and your essence. And this will be important in January. Equally, tough lessons can show up to support this, which may put you into feelings of victimhood temporarily. Feel whatever you need to feel in yourself if this happens for you, but equally ask yourself what you need to change in your life in order to change these feelings from being a recurring theme for you. You are not here as a slave to others or to the consciousness or the healing of the earth. Martyrdom and the feeling that you are the only savior or helper can be the shadow side here. So the idea that you've got to save the world, or that if you don't do it, who's going to do it? That's not actually true. You forget there are a lot of us here, and the universe is organizing everything. And as I've always said, a person who is really hungry, if you won't feed them, they're going to give up on you and they're going to go somewhere else to find food. They're going to get their needs met. It doesn't always have to be through you. So if you're feeling martyrdom, if you're feeling like you're the only one doing everything for everyone, helping everyone, that's going to get tough now. That's going to really come up in your face. And it's a gift that it does. It truly is. I know it doesn't feel good. I know it might come with lots of pent up feelings and historic feelings and agitation, but this is a good thing. It's actually good that this rises in you. It could be years and years and years or lifetimes of you doing this self-abandonment dance. The truth is, and my guides, the Z's, say this all the time, when we learn to align with who we are more, we become naturally benevolent. We become naturally supportive in the areas that we are supposed to be supportive. We also outgrow roles. So healers outgrow roles all the time. You know, the baby healer might be a people pleaser, and that's okay, because they've learned through people pleasing how to really focus on another person and their well-being. So it's okay to be a people pleaser for a period of time. You just want to outgrow it at a certain point. That shows you're actually transforming and that you aren't stuck in a role that is now causing you pain and suffering. So the end of self-abandonment. This will be a big theme for many as we go through this coming year. And I know many of you will already have been cleaning this up over the years, but it's going to come to the fore for many of you this year. In January, we'll see it beginning. Resentment is always a good clue. If you're resenting others, if you're resenting other people, if you're jealous of other people, you're abandoning yourself at some level. There is a part of you that either feels like life has abandoned you or you're abandoning yourself. And I think one of the hardest things is when I get emails or messages or work with or speak to people who are caregivers. It's a really tough one. So if you are a caregiver, you have to find ways, even if they're just small moments, where you get to reclaim yourself for a short period of time, so it's not all about the other. It's very important for you and for the people that you're supporting and loving. So I know that's not easy, but whatever you can do to try and find support, to research how do other caregivers survive. There are lots of support information groups out there, so do go looking. Don't stay isolated in those feelings, because they will lead to the death of your own life force. They will lead to the death of your own life force. So, okay, theme number 7. Are you feeling the electricity or the agitation of being ready to leap? Are you feeling the electricity or the agitation of being ready to leap? This is a time when more of us than ever before will be stepping or leaping into a more aligned life. And many of you will be feeling energy surges around creating that. So you might be feeling really positive. You might be feeling really driven. You might be feeling like, yeah, I'm going to make some things happen. Equally, others among you may be feeling agitated about this, or agitated and angry about anything in your life that is getting in the way of you feeling free to create and live the life you want. Transformation is calling you forward. And sometimes we have to go through a whole lot of feelings and thoughts and changes in order to get there. So there are some of you who are already ready to leap and you're feeling the electricity of it and you're going to be very supported. And then there are some of you who are going to feel the agitation, the frustration, the anger. It goes back to the end of self-abandonment theme. You're going to come out of this and you're going to create something more aligned. That's what the energy is calling all of us forward into. But the process isn't always fun, isn't always quick, and it takes time. So if you resonate with what I'm saying, you're right on target, you're right on track. Ask yourself what you're agitated about or what you're angry about. Write it down so that you know, so that you remember, so that you can start to make some changes in those areas. And theme number 8, trust lessons. How are you doing with trusting yourself or trusting others? When we trust ourselves, our choices, and our intuition, our lives become more aligned and they flow with greater ease. Sometimes we need to learn where we are trusting the wrong person or the wrong thing at the expense of our own well-being or needs. So expect mirrors of this energy to show up for you as you deepen self-trust. None of us live 100% in one state. So this isn't about you having to be the only source of trust in your whole life and don't rely on anyone else. But this theme really is to get more of us on track around self-trust. That's what this energy is calling forward. In general, do you trust yourself? Sure, there might be some days where you're like, I don't know what to think of this. Let me call my friend who I trust. And that's always a good thing to do. Trust someone that you know you trust and go, can I get your opinion on this? I'm a big fan of asking people's opinions of things. I always make my own decision, but I like to check what's the kind of, what's going on out there. Now, equally, like many of you, I have made some funny choices in the past with people I've trusted who then either betrayed me or let me down or didn't behave in the way that I would have behaved. So I think there is a real lesson here around trust. And the feeling of trust to me is usually a feeling of inner peace, inner openness, feeling settled. So trust lessons are going to come up. It will show up this year in general, here and there, but January is going to be a big one. So how are you doing with trusting yourself or trusting others? And when I ask you that question, see which one pings for you. Is trusting yourself the lesson for you right now? Or is it trusting others? Either perhaps you need to learn to trust again. Perhaps you've had some trust wounds. It takes time when we've been burned to recover. But choose the few people in your life that you do know you trust and interact with them to kind of get yourself back online. So I hope, however, that theme shows up for you this month, it's not too painful. What it's doing is moving you towards greater trust of self, your own life, your own choices. So those are the themes for the January energy update. As I said, we have a full annual energy forecast that you can get using the link below. And please do hit subscribe if you're on YouTube. It helps us so much. And in a moment, I'm going to share with you a preview of Arise, which is 21 Keys to Higher Consciousness. This is a 21-day journey that I have created along with some wonderful guest teachers that's coming in February. So we'll play you a clip of that in a moment. And if you wanted to be live in the room with me this year, we are bringing the Oneness Experience, touring all across North America, and later in the year we will be announcing dates for Europe and Scandinavia and the UK. But we currently have our dates for June, and we kick off on May 30th in Los Angeles. And we're also doing Soul Magic again this year, which is my 6-day retreat. That's in Santa Barbara, California in August. Visit the events page at my site for all the details. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. Great to be with you again. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. I'd love to know how this year has begun for you. Take good care of yourselves. Lots of love, and see you soon.
Open your heart. Expand your awareness. Elevate your life. Arise with Lee Harris. 21 Keys to Higher Consciousness.
I think sometimes higher consciousness is seen as this elevated destination that we're supposed to get to. It is not. It's all in here.
Guided by Lee Harris, Arise offers a holistic blend of intuitive teaching.
It's good to notice, I spend a lot of time in my past. Am I creating enough new in my life?
Luminous channels from the Z's.
As you go through your life and your evolution, you get the chance to upgrade your soul and start becoming someone or something new.
Energetic movement and community connection. Join us wherever you are for 21 video modules online, 3 live sessions with Lee, supporting teachers, and a soul-nourishing soundtrack with Devor Bozique.
The beauty of holding a group like this is you get to see all of us rising together, and how higher consciousness is something that we are influencing in each other all of the time.
It gets right to the heart of the matter.
Always something that resonates with me.
Channels felt even more like personal.
Arise with Lee Harris. 21 Keys to Higher Consciousness begins February 4th. One key at a time. A return to presence.